D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So they dropped the first. What's up, nerds? So I finished the first episode of season 4 of Doom Patrol. And I did it yesterday, and I'm sorry this is late. Life got in the way of making this video because long story short, I had to go do a bunch of stuff for my kids' schools and school and everything. And I just didn't have time to do this video. So I'm doing it today. And when it comes to Doom Patrol, it's really niche. So I understand if a lot of people don't watch it just because it is so niche. But at the same time, I like it. Especially this episode was pretty good. There's one thing that I don't really like. I mean, I don't dislike it, but they keep bringing it back, and I'm like, can we figure something else out? It's the butt werewolves, okay? Now they're zombie butt werewolves and everything, and I'm just like, listen, can we stop bringing them back? I personally just don't like it anymore. It's like it was fine for the first season, and then maybe bring it back one more, but it's just like, it's the thing that you keep going back to because you're like, oh yeah, everybody loves it, so let's just keep doing it. And I'm like, let's not. Like, yeah, we liked it the first time, but after the 15th, it's like it's not funny, or it's not even clever. But at the same time, yeah, okay. At the same time, I didn't hate it in this, so I'm just like, whatever. So like I said before, this episode was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I'll just get into the breakdown. I'm gonna try not to take up too much of your time and everything. I want to warn you, I did not write down anybody what they said and everything, so I'm gonna paraphrase a lot. But yeah, that's just the end of that. So don't get mad at me about it. But before I get started, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, we just keep getting shoved to the back of the line. So please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, let's get started on this episode. So it starts off in this like post-apocalyptic future, the future. And we see this guy rounging through and everything. And then we get to, and it says right here, it says Cloverton. It's like, if you have used or someone been infected, do the right thing. And then it has a picture of a shotgun. I'm like, oh, okay. So this guy, he's digging or whatnot. And then all of a sudden he hears a noise or whatnot. And he pulls out his thing, and it's Cyborg. But remember, from last season, he took off all his tech, which was a bad idea in my opinion. I don't like that choice that the showrunners did, but whatever. What are you gonna do? Yeah. And then it starts in with Dr. H, and she goes through and talks about each member of the group, and she talks about them and then gives them a clinical diagnoses. It starts off with this bank robbery with the cod. His name is the Cod Piece, and he's obviously, he's funny. I thought he was very funny. Yeah. And Rita has been made the leader of the group, which I go, yay, because Rita is my favorite character on this show. Yeah, I just love this character, and I can't remember the name of Amber. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. She's fantastic, and she does Rita really, really well. So she's all like, okay, guys, let's do this kind of thing. And they're walking to this guy, and he's, obviously like, you cannot handle the power of my rod. And he like blasts him or whatnot. And while they're flying back, she's talking about how Rita has led them to 7 successful missions. But no one respects her. And I go, man, that sucks for Rita because, obviously she is a good leader. You just, whatever. I'm not quite sure. And then she, what's his face is like, how come you get to pick all the names? And, she names all of them except for this one. I can't remember what she names Madame Rouge. She names her like Mrs. Douchebag, but it's better than that. It's really funny. Oh, and she turns her hand into a sword, but then she hides it away and she's like, good choice. And they've attached the time machine to the big robot that was Robotman. Remember in last season, he put his brain in this big robot, and well, apparently they've switched it back good, and then they've attached the time machine, so now they can go through time in this big robot. And I'm like, okay, that's good, I guess. I don't know. But and then also if they attach a jellyfish to to the top of their head, they won't block out their memories or something like that or whatnot. I can't remember, because remember when the other people, they had like memory loss when they came out, or Madame Rouge did, at least. She doesn't want the jellyfish because she doesn't want to remember what she did and betraying the sisterhood of Dada. So anyway, so they go and she's like spread out and everything, and she's like, all right, Robotman, go. And then she's like, Clintosaurus, and he's like, yeah, you got it, and everything. And they rebuilt him except for his arm, because they're waiting for, probably like parts from China. And they've got we've got a supply chain problem. So anyway, so he's blasting, right? And she's grabbing his rod right here. And this is pretty good. And then hold on, I'm trying to So Clint is, or not Clint. Gosh, if I can think right now. Cyborg is doing all their IT stuff for them, and he's hanging back. And then he sees this guy come out of this van. He's like, hey, you got a bogey on your six. And he's like, no, listen, I'm just the IT guy. And he's like, you are not an IT guy. You are the person, the backbone of this guy's whole thing. And he's like, you're right. And then he like turns around and he's like, what are you doing? He's like, shh, I can't do it if people are watching. And then a big cannon comes out of his butt, which I was like, that's gross and everything. And she bends it, and he's like, oh, and everything. I was like, that's gross. I don't like that at all, but whatever. Anything where there's duty involved is disgusting. So he's looking online and everything about, all his friends and stuff like that, yada, yada, yada. And he's like reminiscing over stuff. I think he's going to get his tech back, but it won't matter. He'll get it back by the end of this season, and it won't matter because the show is probably not going to go forward with the season 5. So he's all like sitting there. He lets the little ghost guy out, and I can't remember what it does, but he just remembers. He sees these two and remembers his life and everything. And she says, do whatever the shrill Ginger says. It's so funny. And then she's like, distract him. So he's like, hey, look at me and everything. But he's got a small cod piece. And he's like, are you body shaming me? Yeah. And then the doctor comes in, and she's like, we're not really the ones that you hate. And he's all like, I'm going to call my mom. And these two get arrested. And then these guys are all like, yeah, we did it. So in the underworld, Dr. H is talking to Jane, Crazy Jane. And she's like, do you know where the kid is? And she's like, we'll find her and everything. But she's all like, yeah, you can go suck a dick. He's talking to his dad about stuff, and they're building the arm. I can't remember what they're talking about exactly, but the dad says, have you found your bliss? And he's all like, you don't ever accept me. And he's like, I just want you to be happy. I want you to find your bliss, I think he called it. And I'm all like, okay, whatever. So then they go in here, and he's got a new arm, but he's like, it looks like the old crappy arm. And he's like, yeah, but they added nanites to it so he can touch. And they're like, you're going to have to start out with one finger, and hopefully the nanites will move to the rest of your body. And he's like, they're like, and then they're like, we're going to have you test it out. And they're like, oh, hold on. And they're like, here, let's start with the cotton ball. And he's like, the first thing I want to touch is my grandson's skin. And I'm like, that's whatever. It's weird. I think. I mean, like, listen, I have kids, but you want to get your and everything. But they're like, can't you feel the softness of that glove? I'm like, yeah, that makes no sense. So anyways, I'm not quite sure what they talk about here. Oh, they're going to Florida. They're all going to go to Florida to visit his daughter and his grandson. I'm sorry. I'm very low energy right now. It's doom and gloom outside. I'm just not happy. She's like, do you ever think you could forgive me? And I think she says maybe someday. And then she's all like, well, how long? And then she like walks away or whatnot. So then she's like, you want to take this jellyfish? And she's like, fine. So she takes the jellyfish, and they're going. They hear something like, do you hear that? And they look out the window, and this woman lands on the thing. And this is Isabel from last season when Rouge came up, and then she fell into I know I'm doing the motions. She fell into her time hole thing. Like, should we let her in? And they don't let her in, but then it messes up their whole thing, and they go to the future. And they get out, and they're in Cloverton. And they go to their mansion, and they get kidnapped, and Cyborg comes out, and then he tells them what happened. It was called the Butt Apocalypse. And it was the werebutts, the zombie werebutts. They took over once they bit somebody, you became a zombie werebutt. And it was just taken over. So he's like, you guys are in your rooms. And he's like, don't go looking for you in your room because you're not there. And she's like, oh, I went out to the groceries. And he's like, no, we don't know where you are. She's like, I'm dead. You mean I'm dead? So they all go to their rooms, and they're all ghosts. So they died. So then she's all like, talking to them, and she's all like, yeah, you were a crappy leader or whatnot. I can't remember. And she's all like, you are so stupid. You stuck around here. You should have taken You should have taken the girl, and you should have just left. But you didn't. It's all your fault. And then she finds out that she was going to negotiate between the butts. But it ends here. It was elected to represent, and then it ends. She's trying to find more, and she finds this time machine thing. And then he tells him, he's like, dude, you don't want to know what happens. He's like, you don't get to Florida. And he's like, what happened? He's like, dude, you do not want to know what happened. He finds his ghost self, and he lets out, because he's got the baby. You remember the little baby that he had? Because his little the alien thing, I can't remember what it's called. It created a baby, and then it put it inside him. So then it comes out, and then the baby comes out of him, and they join together, and it gets back in there. And he's like, what did it say, buddy? So she finds out that he's been kidnapped, and then she's all like, they show his plan. He's like, you need to keep them distracted. She's like, maybe it's an unpopular opinion, but maybe if we tell them what's going to happen, they can fix it. And then they all start laughing because they're all like, I can't believe you kept a straight face. We're idiots and everything. So he's going to go grab it. And he's like, why didn't you just tell us and everything? And he's like, you're not ready or whatnot. You can't handle the truth. And then, so he's all like, they're here. And here come the zombie butts. And I'm all like, this is the thing. This is the thing that I have a problem with. The zombie butts, like, we've seen him season 1. I'm pretty sure we saw him season 2. I just can't remember off the top of my head. We saw him season 3. Was season 3 the zombies? Yeah, season 3. And now we're seeing him again. And I just go, you guys, stop going back to the same old storyline. It's just not, it's not creative. But at the same time, I mean, the butt apocalypse is pretty funny. I'm sorry I'm not very energetic right now. I'm so tired. They're about to go on, but they all get in here except for him. And then while they're in there, he jumps on and he leaves them a message, and he gets eaten. And then they go back. And when they get there, he looks at what he wrote, and he says, you can't have it all. And I'm like, okay, whatever that means. So the little baby thing won't tell him what's going down. She complains to her, and she's like, you can suck a dick. And then she becomes the little girl. She's like, don't follow me. And she wakes up, and I think this is Jane in the body who's taken over. She goes through and looks at her stuff and everything, and Rouge comes over, and I can't remember what they talk about. Sorry. And then he's like, you can't have it all. And then he contacts this guy. And then he's like, I am not going to touch anything until I touch my grandson first. And then we go over to this little council. I can't remember if they showed these guys, but then we get this guy, Willoughby, or whatever his name is. I can't remember. The Constantine substitute. And he's all like, this rabbit's all like, the flora and the fauna have made an urgent discovery. He's like, it's not impossible. He doesn't exist. And he's all like, you messed up before. And he's like, I got you the wrong sheets one time and everything. I'm like, oh, this isn't funny. And he's like, anyways, can I get back to the picture? And he's like, I'm so sorry, little rabbit. And he's all like, so he's like, if this is real, we are effed. And hold on. It says Immortus will rise. Now, Immortus is a character, and that's the end of the episode. That's the end of the episode. Let me get rid of this real quick. And Immortus is, now I don't really know that much about Doom Patrol. I'm like trying to read through some of the comic books, but I'm having trouble just because I have no time, you guys. Time is not of the essence for me. But I promise next time I'll be high energy. It's just I'm really tired today. I had a rough time. And he's like this bald bad guy. I'm not quite sure what he does. I think he builds stuff. I know you're all like, you don't know who Immortus is. I really don't. I just remember on Cartoon Network they would do these like 5 to 10 minute little mini animated things, and I remember Immortus being on those, on at least one of them, and he was like this bald guy in like this general suit or whatever. So I'm interested in seeing where this show goes and where this season goes. I'm pretty sure this is the last season, which is a bummer, but what are you going to do? But yeah, I promise next week I'll be on time. This episode will come out on Thursday and I'll be more high energy. I'm just, like I said, I'm just really tired. I had a lot to deal with my kids and my family and stuff. But tell me, what did you guys think about this episode? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What was your favorite part? I really like the codpiece fight sequence. That was pretty funny. But yeah, tell me what you guys think about Doom Patrol. Who's your favorite character? It has to be Rita, right? She's so great. All right, tell me what you think. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next week on my Doom Patrol breakdown and review. You guys have a good week. Bye.